Hello, Class 9. Once again, I'm here to welcome you with my sessions, and I am so happy to discuss something very fascinating, a subject today with you, and that is children. Children are children. They have perceptions, they have moods, they have melodies, and their world is all full of fantasies. They assume and presume things as well. So, why am I talking about the children today? Because I am talking about the little girl. The little girl. Which little girl am I talking about today? But that little girl is in your chapter. You must be wondering. You'll find it there in the beehives, chapter number 3, The Little Girl, written by a very famous authoress, Catherine Mansfield. She's a very famous authoress. She has written wonderful short stories, and she's from New Zealand, and she's basically known for writing the short stories. And when you read her short stories, as if you reach there, you have the whole atmosphere created with the words. So we are so lucky. We'll read that story, The Little Girl. This is about the girl, actually, the girl who's so much scared of her father. Now this, you must be like, it must be sounding little unrealistic. How can somebody be scared of their fathers? Especially the girls are so connected to their fathers, but here we see a complete different scenario. What is it? The girl who gets so scared of her father, and then she gets so scared that she starts fumbling whenever she sees her father. And then what happens later on, when she spends time and she observes, she finds out that her father has been the most wonderful person in the whole universe for her. So that's what we'll see today. The little girl, her fear, her father, and her ultimate revelation. Paragraph 1 says of the story, to the little girl, he was figure to be feared and avoided. To this girl, he was a figure to be avoided. She used to always avoid her father, because I told you she was so scared. Every morning before going to work, he came into her room and gave her a casual kiss, to which she responded with, "Goodbye, father." And oh, there was a glad sense of relief. So what is it? Father would go to office early morning, and then the father would come to the girl's room and say, "Goodbye, take care." And this girl would say, "Love you, father," like that. But then as soon as the father would make a move, this girl would have a sigh of relief. Thank God the father has gone. And the fainter the sound of the carriage, or whatever transportation the father was using, was fainting, and the girl would feel happier because the father is for sure going. That's how she was so much scared of her father. Okay, the sound of the carriage going fainter and fainter, and the girl would feel happy. In the evening, when he came home, she stood near the staircase and heard his loud voice in the hall, "Bring my tea into the drawing room. Hasn't the paper come yet? Mother, go and see if my paper is out there, and bring me my slippers." So, father would come home, and these would be the standard statements the father would be demanding. Number one, tea, and then the newspaper and the slippers. The three things that are being talked about, standard things. The father would come and speak about, and this girl would be just so scared hearing the sound of her father. That's how. And then, Kezia, mother would call to her, "If you are a good girl, you come, and down you go and take off father's boots." Slowly the girl would slip down the stairs, more slowly, still across the hall, and push open the drawing room door. And the girl would so reluctantly be moving. She would not, otherwise what happens is, generally as soon as the father comes, children are the first people to receive them at the gate. They would go, they would run, they would hug, they would kiss, and they would take the whole house on, their own ruckus kind of thing that they create. As I see at various homes, when fathers, come, children make it so lively. So they are happy when they see their father. But here, what happens is, this girl has to be told by somebody, "Go, and your father has come, just do this task." And the girl would be moving so happily, do you think? No, the text is saying us clearly that she would be moving so reluctantly. Reluctantly means unwillingly she will go. And what is that telling you that she is going unwillingly? The pace. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And then she would reach there. And then by the time he had his spectacles on and looked at her over them in a way that was terrifying to the little girl, and father would also give this girl a kind of a glare, look like this towards that girl. And by the time he had his spectacles on and everything all, well, Kezia, hurry up and pull off those boots and take them aside. Have you been good girl today? And the father would ask two questions. Come on, take these boots of mine off, put them outside, and give me an answer to the question, how did you behave today, Kezia? And Kezia would be, well, Kezia, hurry up and pull off those things. And then Kezia would answer in a way like, I don't know, father. So this is very interesting what I did just 2 seconds before. She would fumble. And what is the reason of a fumbling? The reason of a fumbling is, you see the word D repeated. Why is the word D repeated? The word D is getting repeated because it is showing that this girl is so scared. I don't know, father. Because she's scared, she would fumble. And then we'll see further. You don't know? If you stutter like that, mother will have to take you to the doctor. And then the father would say, why are you stuttering? Now you get to see the new word there. Stutter means speak reluctantly or fumbling or, not speaking clearly. Why are you stuttering like that? The father would say, and we'll have to take you to doctor if you don't speak properly. She never stuttered with other people, had quite given it up, but only with father, because then she was trying so hard to say the words properly. And then, it happens with us also. If we try to make the most of the effortful, thing, we become a failure. Generally, when things come effortlessly, then they are magical. But then when you put a lot of strain and other kind of pressure, so that becomes a real mess. So this is what happening with Kezia also. She wants to speak. She is cautious of the term that she is going to speak nicely in front of other without stuttering, but then she would mess up every time. Well, we'll see further what happens then. What is the matter? What are you looking so wretched about, mother? I wish you taught this child not to appear on the brink of suicide. And then the second thing that the father would say to Kezia, why are you looking so dismaying a personality? You look so deplorable. You look so sad. What is it? Did somebody talk to you in such a way that you're about to commit a suicide? Now see, this is what her father would say. And then, here, Kezia, carry me my teacup back to the table carefully. He was so big, his hands and his neck, especially his mouth, when he yawned, thinking about him alone was like thinking about a giant. And this is what Kezia would feel about her father, that she would just stare at father's hands and his body and all that. And her, mind would perceive her father not to be a person, but to be a giant. She would start thinking of a giant when she would stare at her father that way. On Sunday afternoon, grandmother sent her down to the drawing room to have a nice talk with father and mother, but the little girl always found mother reading and father stretched out on sofa, his kerchief on his face, his feet on one of the best cushions, sleeping soundly and snoring. Now this is what happening when grandmother would be sending this girl that you go and speak with your mom and dad. So whenever Kezia would come, and already you know that Kezia was so scared, and she would be half-heartedly coming and all that. So whenever she came after grandmother's just sending away, then she would just be staring at their parents, and the mother is reading a newspaper or sitting somewhere, and the father, as you can see in this picture also, the father would be taking a nap. She sat on a stool gravely, watched him until he woke and stretched and asked the time, then looked at her. And she would just be sitting, waiting that they would start the conversation, but the parents would not. And then this girl would just be sitting and waiting for his chance to talk, but then father would get up and say, what is the time? And then, don't stare so, Kezia. You look like a little brown owl. And why are you staring at me? This is what the father would say. Now there I want to tell you children one very important thing. sometimes our parents appear to be rude with us. Mind my words, they appear to be, they're actually not. They appear to be strict. Appear to be disliking us. But deep down, the parents do not dislike us. They do not disapprove us. They do not have any kind of, ill will against us. They just want you to be particular. And at times they are also, occupied in some other work or maybe in some other mood or some other thought. So that is why we perceive it this way. The basic aim of this story, Catherine Mansfield is trying to tell us, through this story, that we have to see the other side also. We should not be, framing opinions on just the basis of some instances. Like this girl, now she has come, she wants to talk, but then the father is sleeping, and as soon as the father got up, he said, why are you staring at me like this? You look like a brown owl. So now Kezia has again got nervous. And one day when there is further one more incident. One day when she was kept indoors with the cold, her grandmother told her that her father's birthday was next week. Now this is very interesting. Kezia is trying to make it up like she is trying to be so happy. She is trying to get closer to her father. And then what is the occasion that she found suitable? The birthday of Kezia's father, which was just in line. And the grandmother told her that father's birthday was next week and suggested she should make him a pin cushion for a gift out of beautiful piece of yellow silk. And yellow silk was given to Kezia as well as an idea. By whom? By the grandmother. And what did the grandmother say? That why don't you make a beautiful cushion, pinned cushion for your father, and your father will be so happy receiving that as a gift from you. And maybe there he can start being like, you can start talking also. You are so scared of your father, but his birthday may be the day when you can start conversing with that gift part. Laboriously with the double cotton, the little girl stitched 3 sides. Laboriously means with lot of toil and effort, because she's a small girl, it's not easy for her to stitch and all that. Of course, older people can do. The people who have expertise, the bigger, older people in age, no, they can do it because they have habit and expertise. But if you give, needle and stitching work is given to small children, naturally it will be a mammoth. It will be, a big task for them. So still laboriously, with lot of effort, she did and she, stitched. But what to fill it with? Now, children are children, I told you, she's so small a girl. So she did not know what to fill this cushion with. She looked around and she found some papers lying. There in this text we see. That was the question. The grandmother was out in the garden and she wandered into mother's bedroom. Okay, wandered means by chance. She was looking for something. She did not, purposely go there. She was looking here and there. So casually she ended up entering the room of her mother's, her mother's bedroom. And then a great many sheets of fine paper she gathered them up, tore them into tiny pieces and stuffed her case and then sewed up the 4th side. She had already stretched 3 sides and one part was left open so that she can do the filling in and she can make a proper cushion. So she saw some papers. She took those papers and tore those papers into pieces and packed this cushion and then stitched it further. Now she was so happy that she has used her mind and she has taken sheets because she's of course a little girl. She does not understand all these things, that these papers may be of some use, or maybe father will, instead of becoming happy, get annoyed to see the papers torn. She did not think anything of that sort. Of course, because she is a small girl. And that also, it happens with us also. Sometimes we think that, this action of ours will make our parents happy, or, if I do this, it will probably bring pleasure to my mom or to my dad. But then sometimes we end up making mistakes because we think as per our age. Our opinions, our understanding goes along with our age, and the understanding and, expectation of the parents go as per their age because they're elders, of course. So then what happens?